Hey, Dis After Dark listeners. I want to invite you all to join us over on Scare Zone, Halloween Horror Nights podcast. Scare Zone is a news, interview, history, and commentary podcast all about Universal's premier Halloween event. It's hosted by fans and experts like me, Logan Seculo, former WWE superstar Scotty 2 Hottie, and Dis After Dark's own Chris Ripley. Subscribe however you get podcasts and head over to scarezone.com for more information. We here at the show are proud supporters of Dis After Dark. And remember, keep your eyes closed and your ears open on Scare Zone.
Welcome to Universal After Dark, a Universal podcast that's not the same as all the others. Hello and welcome to another edition of Universal After Dark. I am Nick, and tonight I am joined by a duo of Pauls. I think that's a fair way of saying it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I would say, if I'm being completely honest, my favourite Pauls that still regularly contribute to the podcast, Mr. D and P-Dubs.
A pair of Pauls.
Now, I mean, some people might argue that that's purely because you're the only two Pauls left to continue to work on this show, but
yeah,
I'd agree with that. But that's not the point. That doesn't lessen the impact of you being here. And it's always a pleasure to be joined by both of you. So thank you. And apologies in advance for people listening, because there's no Mr. Ripley and there's no Amanda. So we know what happens when I'm in charge of a Universal After Dark. It's a bit like stuff that often gets slung at walls by monkeys. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's all going to probably go a bit chaotic, but I will try my best to keep it on the right path. That's all I can say. I mean, I can't promise anything, and I'm definitely not going to guarantee anything, but we'll see what we can do. So guys, how are we?
Doing good.
Good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk a bit more about Mr. Washington later, because that's I'd argue that's slightly a bit of a lie, if I'm being honest there, P-Dubs. I think you might be, doing that actor thing of covering up the reality. But
yeah.
we'll discuss that later on, possibly into our next show.
Yes.
We're going to ruin podcast magic now and tell you that we're recording this at the same time. So we're doing Universal After Dark, and then we're doing Dis After Dark, and I don't care. Like, we should actually not reveal that, but I don't care. Craig's not here to tell me off, so it's fine. So if you want to hear about why Paul Washington might not be in the correct state, or mentally, not in any other way, then you might want to have to listen to the next episode of Dis After Dark, which follows this one. We might allude to it a bit later on. But anyway, we're here to talk about Universal. Now, I've not done too many of these. Do we drink on Universal After Dark? Do I have to wait till the next show to open my beer, or can I?
I think
go for it.
it's only going to get warm if you do that.
Well, that's the point. It's out of the fridge, so it is.
Yeah.
So I have got a new beer. I've not tried this one before. It's from a brewery from where you come from, Mr. D.
Mm-hmm.
Ish. You originate from, not where you are now.
West Sussex.
That's why I quickly go back on what I said. I've got a Brewdog, and this one is called Kingpin. I've had some of their beers, but I've not had a Kingpin. So Kingpin is a 21st century lager, which is good, really, because if it was like a 20th century lager or a 19th century lager, I don't really think I'd be that keen on opening it. But as it's a new one, hang on, the most quiet bottle opening ever. But there it is. So hang on.
What's that like?
That's quite nice, actually. I'd argue it's 21st century lager, but I'd argue it's more like a pale ale. It's quite fruity.
Mm.
No, it's nice.
Can't be bad.
No, it's very nice, actually. I think I might have to buy some more of those. What are you guys drinking?
Well, talking about fruity, I have a Copperberg mixed fruits.
Mixed fruits.
Yeah. Actually, I had one on the last podcast as well. I think this is from the same batch. I did hijacked a lorry of it.
Well, when in West Sussex.
Yeah.
Mr. Washington.
Cheers.
I have got a Jack Daniels and lemonade.
Ooh, look at you with the shorts.
Yeah.
In tribute to Craig, I imagine, shorts. So, well, yes, indeed. Cheers, everybody. And
Cheers.
and so we begin with this edition of Universal After Dark. Now, just like all our other podcasts, we haven't actually really planned anything. However, I remember the news story that I looked at and I thought would be very relevant to what's going on because, as people will know, Halloween Horror Nights is in full swing.
It is.
Yeah.
I know you're going soon, Paul. So I'm assuming you haven't purposely watched any videos. But P-Dubs, have you seen any of the houses at all?
Yeah, I've seen a few bits and pieces. Certainly, the trackers have been visiting quite regularly. Not so much the houses that they don't tend to record in the houses, but a lot of the scare zones and things like that I've seen quite a bit of.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I have to confess, I've been watching similar videos, so I've been trying to go spoiler free. So I don't know much about what's inside the houses, but I know I got a good idea of the scare zones and the Bill and Ted and that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, I don't know much about history. I don't know much about biology, which has got nothing to do with what we're talking about. But I've got to be honest. Like, I've been looking at some of the houses. I've purposely been looking at the Hollywood houses rather than the Florida ones, mainly because one, there's more videos of them for some reason.
Yeah, they don't stop you recording in Hollywood.
Oh, right, is that what it is?
They're very laid back about recording over there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, to be honest, I mean, I don't understand that because, well, I suppose in some ways I do, because what I've learned is that I'm still a bit of a pussy. That's what I've learned. Not that I'm not watching the videos and going, oh my god, or anything like that, but I'm watching them and I'm thinking, if I was actually there now, I probably would pee myself a little. That's the thing. So I'm okay watching the videos, but when you're there, it's a bit different. And I suppose the thing is, from a British point of view, we don't Halloween's only really been a thing for probably our generation, actually. I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's really. I mean, Mr. D, you're just a couple of years older than me and P-Dubs.
Just a tad. I don't remember them actually burning Guy Fawkes though. Not that old.
Yeah, you like the ones you make, not the actual man himself.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, what was Halloween like when you was like a child?
I could just hear Craig Lucas if he was here. He'd be giving me some stuff right now.
Oh, of course you would. That's why I'm doing it now. He'll be shouting stuff out like when he's listening.
He will
to
be.
it.
I know. But Halloween was it wasn't as commercial by any means. I mean, it was a big deal for kids, and getting dressed up and going out for Halloween was definitely a big deal. But what you would get, would be some sweets, be some fruit, and quite a bit of money. And the money was basically my firework fund for the 5th of November. So anything I collected on Halloween, I'd be straight up buying fireworks that are pretty much illegal these days. Things like jumping jacks and things like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, bonfires. Well, that's Guy Fawkes, I guess. But yeah, trick or treating, and then a party afterwards, dunking for apples and counting your swag and all sorts of things. The adults having a few alcoholic beverages. But not as commercial. People didn't decorate their houses for one thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's starting to become bigger in the UK, and it's huge in certain parts of America.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't. It was a one-night affair. It wasn't like a big multi-week or like I think the Mickey's Not So Scary, I think it started on something like the 6th of September or the 8th of September. I mean, it's crazy, really.
I get why they start it so early, because if it was just a one night thing, it'd just be too rammed. So you wouldn't
Yeah.
sell out and then be so many left over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the reason they have it for so long is because they sell a lot of tickets, and people can't always go. So I get it, but I mean the thing is, even since I was a kid, like, you're right about the houses, and I would say that it's still very rare to see a decorated house over here. But I remember it wasn't very complex, even like going, like now, if you go into like an Asda, which, of course it's owned by Walmart, but if you go to like any supermarket, they now have Halloween sections.
Yeah.
From about the end of August, really. But we never used to get stuff like that. You might get a little bit a couple of weeks before Christmas, before Christmas, before Halloween, and it'd be like a few masks and stuff like that. But now, it's all about costumes, and it feels that we're ever so slowly catching up in America. But it certainly wasn't a massive deal when I was a kid. It does seem to be getting more and more popular. But I remember when I was growing up watching things like Roseanne. And Roseanne would always have a really big Halloween episode. They'd be famous for them. The Simpsons obviously have famous Halloween episodes, and you get a lot of American sitcoms that do. But so I understood the kind of culture, but never been like growing up with it, and so we've not really had that kind of really scary haunted house kind of culture. You know, really crappy haunted houses at fun fairs and stuff like that, but nothing like what you find in America. And as Craig found last year when he went to that corn maze, didn't he?
Yeah, Farmageddon.
And there's one at a shopping centre near me this year, in Southend, where they're doing like a kind of zombie attack, Dawn of the Dead style event for a couple of nights. But they're quite new, and so like scare zones and the houses they have at Halloween Horror Nights are still quite intense for me. But in America, it's I mean, I know obviously that people are still scared of them in America, but because it's been more part of the culture, it seems to be more commercial and more accepted, I suppose, and not quite as hard for us to kind of understand.
Yeah, well, I mean, we lived in America for a couple of years, and we found that Americans generally made a much bigger deal of the holidays, whether it was, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, 4th of July. They were much bigger events and quite commercial as well. And we kind of got taken by surprise because we had a season ticket for Six Flags near Chicago, and we went down to the Halloween event there with the kids, who were quite young, really. They were probably about 7 and 9. And we took them into the park, and the park was all decorated, and there were little spooky things and spooky shows, and the cast members or the employees were dressed up in kind of fun horror costumes. And we thought, this is great. It was good. It wasn't too scary, but there were 2 paid-for haunted, like tents, haunted houses. And it was right at the end of the night, and my eldest is like, Dad, can we go into the haunted house? And we said, yeah, it's all been good, let's take him in there. Oh my God, what a mistake that was. They're still receiving therapy for that one. It was very much a kind of Halloween Horror Nights type thing with chainsaws, the guy with the chainsaw, and people popping out of the walls, and it was all dark, and oh my God, it was a big mistake. But it was really, it was on a different level from anything that we had seen here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, Paul. I kind of stumbled upon it as well. Went to LA and it just happened to be Halloween time. So I thought, I'll book a ticket for Halloween Horror Nights, not knowing a thing about it. And all I'd seen was like a poster that said they'd got Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface. And I thought, that'd be good. There'll be a couple of people dressed up like them.
You thought that was a boy band?
Well, yeah. I thought it was Backstreet Boys or something like that a bit later on in their career. But being in Hollywood at that time, they've got a parade through West Hollywood,
Yeah.
and it's like, my God, they really do take this seriously.
Yeah.
And it's, you know,
Yeah, they
it's good, but I think it's just hard for us to kind of comprehend because you're not used to it. In the same way that, you know, Americans every year, it's tradition to watch the cartoon version of The Grinch That Stole Christmas, and at Halloween, you know, Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin Patch. You know, now I've seen the animated Grinch, but I really like the film. Now, I like the film because I didn't grow up watching that cartoon every year. Most people hate that film, the Grinch film, because it's different to the cartoon. But I really like the Grinch film because I've got nothing to compare it against. It's a bit like, you know, when Ghostbusters came out earlier this year, the people that were most vocal about how it was going to suck were the people that loved the original. Well, what about all the people that it was, you know, the new generation of people that were going to watch it who didn't have, may have seen the original Ghostbusters, but certainly wouldn't have had the 30 years knowledge of it that most of us did.
Yeah.
You know, so it's different. So it, you know, it's hard for us to kind of comprehend how these things are. But basically, I'm just trying to find a really elaborate way to say why I'm such a wuss, and don't take it too harsh on me. At the same time, that wouldn't stop me going to Halloween Horror Nights again, because I went, and after I got used to it, I did enjoy myself. But it just took me a bit longer to get into the swing of things than I had expected. You know, and like Paul, when you said there about going out there and buying a ticket and not knowing what you was expecting, that's how I was. I mean, I went the year the 20th anniversary, so it was Freddie, Jason, and Leatherface then as well. And you know, I had, you know, ideas it was going to be quite, you know, scary, but I expected it to be more on the comedy side, not, you know, real blood and gore kind of stuff. And I think that's, you know, they do it really well because it is like you're being in the films. And I've seen the Exorcist house in Hollywood, and it's not a carbon copy of the film because it can't be exactly. But you know, obviously there are a lot of things that you see in the film, and it's done really, really well. You recognise it's being the film, and you kind of get that sense of you could have been walking on the movie set.
Yeah.
You know, and that's obviously the aim. It's not done on the cheap, and I suppose that's why these events are so popular. So you must be really looking forward to it, Mr. D, after talking about how it scares us. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Kids are all grown up now.
Yeah. So you know, they've just cleared therapy, and you thought, right now you've recovered. I'm going to take to Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah, they got to pay for their own therapy now.
And that's why you've done it. Fair enough.
Oh yeah.
So, in your opinion, Paul, from what you've watched already, would there be anything that you would suggest to Mr. D that he should try and make beeline for?
Now, weirdly, I think the show that they've got on the main stage, it seems to have really taken off. I think a lot of people were really quite surprised by it. It's kind of a dance troupe, but kind of in a really violent, horrific way.
Well, so a bit like 90s boy bands then. Because, I mean, for every take that, there was like A1. No, I see. I was thinking A1, but they weren't too bad. I'm thinking even worse than that, like a 9 NYC. You know, one that wasn't even barely a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
I should not even remember, but I do because I'm sad. You know, I'm talking more, you know, even worse than that kind of thing. But yeah, sounds similar. Similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I definitely recommend that from what I've seen.
Who's featured in that? Is that Chance or?
No, it's not. It literally is a dance troupe that I believe was on America's Got Talent.
Oh, Jabberwockies.
No, not the Jabberwockies. They're still in Hollywood. There's another one, and I can't even remember what they're called.
Yeah, I can't remember now.
But yeah, everybody was expecting it to be a Chance show, and then they went and announced this. But everybody's been really quite kind about it. So, and I did see a bit of it last night actually, and it looked quite clever. It was kind of like shadow dancing, like behind a screen.
Okay.
So, quite like that. As I said, I've not seen huge amounts of the mazes.
No.
Scare zones, I still like the one that's outside San Francisco. I can't remember the name. I'm having
it was like
blank.
the wharf
Like
type
a
one.
haunted ship, yeah.
Yeah, that does look good. And what was the other one? I quite like the look of the vampire one, like the 1950s
Yeah.
vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, that's getting really good reviews.
It'll be interesting with this talk of like the well, not the talk of, but this new Universal Monsters franchise they're coming out with, to see what happens in the next few years with Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah, it would definitely be interesting to see whether they've got to pick it up, surely.
Well, not only that as well, but I mean, it must be a great way of saving on license fees.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know how much these things cost, but I'd imagine that The Walking Dead must be really, really hefty because it's the second biggest show in the world at the moment or something. It's got to be up there, isn't it? Behind Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the only saving grace for that is though that they don't use the rights to the character likenesses.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, that's true.
So that is one saving grace on the cost of the license.
Yeah, because I imagine that would bump up the cost a bit more. And
yeah.
I mean, American Horror Story, it's popular, but I mean, it's not the same level of a Walking Dead. So it still must have cost a pretty penny. Krampus is a Universal franchise, well, Universal film, isn't it? So that's one they'll get relatively on the cheap. But I do wonder, if in 3 or 4 years' time we're talking about a Halloween Horror Nights where 80 or 90% of all of the attractions, all of the scare zones and the houses are based around Universal Monsters.
Yeah.
Which of course would be really good news for Chris Ripley's book that he's launched.
Chris Ripley's got a book?
I know, not even here, and he's getting a plug. That's how much we like it. Yes, Universal Monster Origins. I believe is the title of the book. If you type Christopher Ripley into Amazon, you'll find it. Other places to buy books are available, but I don't think you can buy it at other places at the moment. So just go to Amazon. Have a cheap plug on us, Amazon. So that would be quite interesting. But this isn't just going to be a Halloween Horror Night show. Although saying that the first news story I picked up is about Halloween Horror Nights. In my defence, though, it's the biggest thing at the moment. So no doubt, a lot of things are going to be talking about that. So that's what I'm going to say on it. But yeah, I was going to say friend of the show then, but that's obviously a lie. But Halloween Horror Nights has caused a little bit of controversy, hasn't it?
It certainly has.
Yeah. So,
do tell.
I would love to tell. I've lost the story, but I'm going to find it.
I've got it.
Well, actually, you know what, Paul? You've got there first, so I'm still scrolling back to where it is. So go on, lead us off.
So, basically, when J.K. Rowling was looking to sell off the rights to Harry Potter for theme park use, she went to Disney, and basically they told her that they would have full control over it, that she wouldn't be able to stop them doing anything they wanted to it. So she walked away. Universal came to her and said, "You have full control over everything. That's fine. We'll let you plan whatever you want." And she told them that they weren't allowed to use it for Halloween Horror Nights. So this year they've decided to use it in a way that doesn't fit with the Potterverse. By all accounts.
Yeah, so let's kind of expand this a little bit. So effectively what's happened, and fill me in where I'm wrong, but what they've done, so one of the terms of this thing is her deal with Universal and the fact she's got creative control and all this kind of stuff is that she didn't want the Harry Potter worlds, because obviously there's 2 now, to be used during Halloween Horror Nights. So whilst most attractions are open, those parts of the park, they haven't done Islands Adventure for a long old time now, but now that Harry Potter's in both parts, they're not allowed to be open during Halloween Horror Nights. So those parts of the park are to remain closed. And what they've done is they have projected some stuff onto Gringotts. Was it Gringotts or was it?
I think it was actually the outside. I think it was Grimmauld Place and
Right, okay.
King's Cross. I believe the actual bit of the park is open. They leave the ride open because it's one of the stay and screen places.
Right.
But there's nothing inside it that's Halloween Horror Night related.
No decorations and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they've started projecting stuff on the outside of it that's caused the kerfuffle.
Yeah. So it's I can't work out. I mean, I've seen some pictures. I can't work out what it actually is. I mean, it's orange. It looks, I suppose, like some kind of pattern of some kind.
Yeah.
The only way to really describe it, I can't really tell from the pictures what it's supposed to be. But sure enough, they've projected it onto this area, and that goes against the the terms that she set out, that it wasn't going to be Halloweened. I don't know if that's the correct verb, but let's just go with it. So, and the problem is, of course, that now everything's on social media. That's how it's come to light. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
Because everyone sees everything within minutes or hours, and so she caught wind of this, and this is what I love about this quote in the story, which you can find at a website called hhnunofficial.com. No idea who does anything involved with that website. But what I like here is the fact that she instructed her team to call Universal. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that someone's got that much power that, I'm not going to pick up the phone to Universal. My team will pick up the phone to Universal. Just brilliant. So, so the projection is now on the floor.
Yeah.
And apparently, this is allegedly, so we can't get sued because I'm not saying this. This is what was said. This is allegedly. She said that if Universal continues to add unapproved decorations to the area, the whole land will be shut forthwith for any future Halloween Horror Nights. Now, what's amazing, because I have always said that the best thing Universal did in getting the Harry Potter rights, in a lot of ways, was giving her the final say on things, because it's made it much better than it would have been. And not to say that Universal wouldn't have done a great job had they not had that caveat in there, but because you've got somebody who is, it's her passion project, that is so adamant on making sure it's perfect, that all the little details, because they would have skimmed on details. Of course they would have skimmed on details. There have been things they wouldn't have thought of. So for that reason, it's made the whole Harry Potter project, Universal, a much better thing than it would have been. But at the same time, I suppose, how much rope do you want to give yourself to hang yourself with? Because now this has happened. And if she has the power to turn around and say that it has to be shut down during Halloween Horror Nights, that's pretty bad. I think. So it's a bit like the Sam Allardyce situation that's going on in England at the moment. If you don't cover enough bases, if you leave too many things open to interpretation, this is what can happen. So so that's a shame. What do you think? Do you think it's an overreaction?
I suppose it's one of these things where she probably wants to. She might feel like they're trying to pull a fast one and just get the thin end of the wedge in there. But the strange thing is though that she's allowed it in Japan, hasn't she?
Yeah.
There's a Death Eater scare zone in Universal Studios Japan.
Don't
But I
say
guess-
it too loudly in case she hears it. Maybe she hasn't authorised it.
Yeah, we're assuming she's authorised it.
We'll tweet her a link later.
Yeah. I'll text her. Don't worry. I'll get my team to text her.
Yeah, you get your people to contact her people. That's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll do lunch sometime. But yeah, I mean, it may be that was all above board and arranged, but this one, she feels like they're trying to sneak one under the wire,
Yeah.
and he's making a point, perhaps.
Yeah, possibly.
Mhm.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Hey, Dubs, anything you want to say on that?
Just an agreement. It's a strange situation because it was always thought that she didn't want them touching that part of the park at all during Halloween Horror Nights, and then all of a sudden this year she's gone, "Yep, Japan, you can do it. It's fine." But then the littlest thing with a bit of lighting on something seems a little bit of an overreaction in my opinion. I think.
But then we haven't, had massive franchises to our name.
No.
Made us
Well, we've got
multi-millionaires.
3. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I said they made us multi-millionaires. You seem to
yeah.
ignore that caveat.
Craig gets all of that.
That is true. It is true. But he puts a lot of work in, so it's deserved. Right, so it's time to talk about the other sponsor we have for the After Dark Podcast Network. And gents, if you were thinking, as you have done previously and you will do again, if you was thinking about booking a trip to one of the parks that we've talked about, who would you think of asking or at least approaching?
Well, there's only
Wendy!
one name that springs to mind only.
Wendy. So Wendy's so famous, she's only got one name like Madonna or Cher. Well, it's not actually true. She has 2 because she's got a surname as well, which is Prater. So of course, Wendy Prater at
Magical
Journeys.
Travel. We're so well prepared with this. It's like we've been practicing all day, finishing off each other's
Sentences.
sandwiches. For God's sake, this is totally unorganised. But we may be unorganised, but Wendy is not.
Oh, smooth.
You see, that's
I love
what
how you did that.
That's what she's there for.
I'm a big fan of your work.
Oh well, we're a big fan of Wendy's work, which is the point. More than that, whether you've been to Disney 1 or 100 times, there's still lots of planning involved, and I think we can all attest to that.
Yep. And their burgers are good as well.
They are. They are. And of course, now with Magic Bands, everything else is even more complex. I mean, geez, the last time I went, it was much easier than it is nowadays. So, Wendy can be the person to take away that pain of getting a reservation for Be Our Guest. Where, friend of the show, that Florida guy just tried the grey stuff.
Yeah.
Hasn't reported back yet as to what it tasted like. And, you could try and get a fast pass for Anna and Elsa. Now, if us mere muggles or mortals tried to get a fast pass for Be Our Guest or Anna and Elsa meet and greets, how successful do you think we would be?
Well, I've already failed. I didn't get an ADR for Be Our Guest.
See,
So I wish I'd gone to Wendy for that one.
Wendy, not just the home of good burgers, but the home of good travel planning. So visit Wendy at wpmagicjourneys.com, or you can contact her on Twitter at wpmagicjourneys. And of course, if you mention that you heard one of our amazing podcasts, and that's how you got to hear of Wendy, she'll give you $25 off your deposit for any trip package. And our own Mr. Ripley at the moment has been on one of the Disney cruises, and she's able to offer generous onboard credits for Disney Cruise Lines as well. Something to bear in mind. So if you are thinking of making a trip before you go anywhere else, go and find Wendy Pratt at Magical Journeys Travels, wpmagicjourneys.com.
Because if you don't, you'll feel like a prat.
Was there anything else that people wanted to mention about Universal that's been going on at the moment?
There's a few other things, I guess. The Jimmy Fallon ride seems to be progressing quite well, but I don't know. I can't. Yeah, I can't get excited about that. What about you guys? You looking forward to that?
Nah, not at all. I like Fallon. Not as much as I like Kimmel. I think Fallon's show's not quite as. I mean, we don't really get American talk shows over here. Like we seem to get them for a little bit of time, and then they disappear. Like I don't know if anyone remembers, like they used to show David Letterman, and he'd be on Comedy Central or Paramount Comedy Channel, whatever it was at the time, for a while, and then it would disappear for a few years, and then like ITV2 would pick it up, and it would be shown on there for a couple of years, and then it would go. And it's always been a bit like that. And I remember a few years ago we got Conan over here on True TV, and there was like a lot of hype around it, and that's slowly been removed. And there can't be much money in putting these shows on over here, but they show them at such late nights. You know, we get them very early hours in the morning, so I don't really know. They can't really cost that much to show. You'd think they just carry on with them, but
yeah,
whatever. But so yeah, so I suppose he's not really a massive name, and I think that could be quite a problem actually when you think about it, because when you think of Shrek or old attractions, Jaws or The Mummy or even Twister, they were massive films. They were films that were shown around the world, not just at the cinema, but also obviously on TV and that. Well, Jimmy Fallon is really an American thing. Outside of America, his fan base is pretty small.
Yeah.
So you've got to wonder how much of a hook that's going to be. I would have understood it if it was going into Hollywood, because doesn't his show get filmed out of Hollywood?
No, he's New York based.
Of course, he's New York. Yeah, Lorne Michaels. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So maybe like Florida is the right one then. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I just don't think it's got the star power that a Universal attraction needs, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
See, I'm more excited about that than the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah,
having seen what the Fast and the Furious is in Hollywood.
Well, exactly. That's the only reason why. If you were told that there's a Jimmy Fallon attraction and there's a Fast and Furious attraction coming, and like the Fast and Furious didn't exist in Hollywood, are you telling me you wouldn't be more excited about Fast and Furious?
Yeah, I see your point with that.
Don't get me wrong. We've seen the Hollywood. I've seen the Hollywood version. It's a load of tosh. But if that hadn't existed, I'd be like, yes. Why isn't this a ride already?
Yeah.
You know, but Fallon just doesn't do. The ride can be really good. You know, they're obviously they've planned it for a long time, and you know, I mean, what's it been, about 2 years now since they first announced it?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, it's getting there slowly but surely, but it's just I don't know.
Yeah. From what I've seen of it, the technology looks really quite clever, but whether they put that into action is a different story.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not that, you know, because I've always thought it was going to be, I mean, I've got no idea what the ride's going to be like. I always thought it was going to be a little bit like Soaring and that kind of thing, just based on what they said the premise was going to be like, travelling around New York and stuff. But, you know, Soaring doesn't have any names or anything like that, but then like Soaring's in a park which doesn't rely, well, certainly didn't used to until recently, rely on franchises or things that were named. They were all kind of original ideas and concepts, whilst Universal's hook has always been ride the movies.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's true.
All right, that's my take on it anyway. Was there?
So,
Paul?
I was just going to say, other than that, I don't have any other Universal news.
It seems, other
No.
than Halloween Horror Nights, seems to be a bit bereft at the moment, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely feels like it. It seems like that Halloween Horror Nights has taken the show on the road, as to speak. I suppose.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking forward to hearing about Mr. Ripley's RIP tour and Amanda's experiences there.
When is it? When is it they're going on that? Can you remember?
Amanda's yeah. I think Chris is in September, isn't it? Oh no, maybe not.
No, I think it's this weekend.
Right.
Because Amanda flies out Friday.
Mhm.
And I know her and Chris only kind of cross over for a couple of days.
Right.
Right. Yes, it must be quite.
And I imagine because Logan's going as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
He'll only probably be down for the weekend.
Mhm.
Actually, I don't know. Actually, saying that because I'm sure Logan's got a music festival this weekend. The La Puente.
Las Puertas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he is. They've got that RIP tour booked together, I think, haven't they?
Yeah.
So they're probably going to pack that in at the same time, I would think.
Coming soon then. So yeah, so that's going to be coming up on a future edition of Universal After Dark when people are back from their vacays, as the cool kids call it.
Yeah.
I think cool kids call it that anyway. I don't know. It's hard to stay relevant nowadays.
I'll believe you.
So without starting another podcast, because we really don't need to start another podcast, but it was something Amanda had suggested talking about, and I saw a bit of it earlier on and thought it was quite interesting. And in fact, there is so little Universal news at the moment to really go on. I think we should talk about the recent as in today's announcements about SeaWorld.
Mhm.
So we're going to turn a little bit into SeaWorld After Dark now, which I don't think is going to be one of their offerings next year, actually.
No.
But yeah, they've announced a few things because without being making it sound too dramatic, SeaWorld are pretty much in the poop at the moment financially. They're really not doing very well. They've had to make not a profit warning, but they've had to go to their kind of shareholders and not pay dividends and invest it back into parks, which is never a good sign. I think the Blackfish effect is really kicking into gear now, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because I mean I think have we all seen that documentary Blackfish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
While obviously there were some things that were quite unsavoury, I think like a lot of documentaries, it's obviously a version of, it's an interpretation of. I don't think it's just as clear cut as it's been made out to be. So I do feel a little bit sorry for them. But at the same time, if it improves practices over there, then that's only going to be a good thing. So there's a few things they've announced of things they're changing, and one of them is Kraken. Now, has everyone been on Kraken?
Yes.
Yeah. Long time ago.
Yeah, I don't think I've been on Kraken. Manta just opened when we last went there. That was a new ride, but I don't think I ever went on Kraken. I went on Journey to Atlantis, which was interesting. That's an interesting ride, isn't it? It's very odd. It doesn't seem to know what it wants to be. Because it's kind of like a coaster and a log flume. And a dark.
Yeah. It's reading this article. That's also getting an update, but it classes it as a water coaster.
Well, I'd say it's a water coaster more than a roller coaster because there isn't much of a roller coaster section, is there? It's quite brief. The actual roller coaster part of it, it's kind of half dark ride, half water ride, and well, no, it's too many halves. A light sprinkling of coaster. but that's just me. But what they're doing with Kraken, and I believe it's going to be the first VR coaster in Florida, is they're going to add headsets to it. Now, they seem to be doing this quite a lot. It seems to be the new thing. It's a little bit like a few years ago when 3D was going to be the next big thing. So
Yeah.
like, all films had to be made in 3D and 3D TVs and everything like that. Quite a few theme parks have added VR to their attractions. So Alton Towers have just opened up one, haven't they?
Yeah, they changed air.
Yeah, and I think, is there another one over here? Did they do it to one of their other parks as well?
Yeah, did they do something at Thorpe Park?
I'm sure Thorpe Park's got one as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that the Darren Brown thing's VR, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Darren
think
Brown,
so.
that new Darren Brown attraction in the train, that's VR. So yeah, it definitely seems to be like a big thing. And I suppose it's a very cheap way of changing a ride without changing a ride, because all you're doing is you're adding something to it. You haven't got to change the track.
Yeah, that's right.
You haven't got to change any of the decoration. So, I mean, obviously, Kraken's an outdoor coaster, but if you was doing this indoors, for example, you wouldn't have to change any of the kind of theming. The headset does it for you. So it'll be interesting. I mean, the photo they released at the press release with the artist's interpretation made it seem very thrilling. You'd encounter all kinds of weird and wonderful creatures, and obviously a Kraken would be one of those. So that's one thing they're going to be doing as well. I'm surprised they're going to refurb Journey to Atlantis though. Like, what can they really do with it? They're only closing it for 5 months. I think.
Yeah.
Sounds more like
a lengthy refurb this winter.
Yeah.
But I don't really know what they can do without actually changing the ride itself. It just seems a bit. It felt dated when I went on it 6 years ago. Whatever it was,
yeah, sounds more like a makeover, doesn't it? Than a major change.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues they've got, though, isn't it? That because it is kind of not just a theme park as such, there's not a lot they can really do to change anything, because they have to take into account the animals that they've got and things like that. It's kind of rock and a hard place, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I'd argue with that as well, actually. I agree with that. There's apparently a new bubble show called the Gazillion Bubble Show. Now,
You West Ham fans would be all right.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean all right? What have we got to be all right about at the moment? But that's for another podcast. What I don't like.
I've got the tagline for it now.
Go on.
You ready for this?
Yep.
From Shamu to shampoo.
Why have
What do you think of that?
Why have they never sold bottles of that in a gift shop?
I don't know.
Shamu poo. Well, actually, that's probably why, because the name sounds.
That's something completely different.
Yeah. So what I don't like what they call saying like the Gazillion Bubble Show. Prove it. If I count those bubbles and there weren't a gazillion, that's grounds for a lawsuit. It's it's not good. It'll use lasers, lighting effects, and audience participation. Oh no, it won't.
Oh yes, it will.
And it's rumoured to be taking place in the Nautilus Theatre. Anyone have a clue what the Nautilus Theatre is? Because I don't.
Well, there was a theatre there that used to be a strongman act. So I don't know. Maybe it was that one. That was quite a big theatre, I think. I've gone back a long time now.
There's another rumour that there's going to be a new nighttime show. Now, I've not actually, when I've been to SeaWorld, I've never seen a nighttime show. It's always closed before that. And if I'm brutally honest, I've never stayed there long enough to see one if there was one. It's always been a very much the one-day park for me.
Yeah.
It's
They had their nighttime Shamu show, didn't they? Was it Shamu
Yes.
Rocks America or something like that?
Yes.
Mm.
He didn't. I mean, he didn't play any instruments. It was terrible. But they're saying that this will be so because I mean, obviously they're trying to move away now from having performances by animals, by killer whales and stuff in their shows. So they're saying that this is probably going to be a fountain show in the central lake with some lighting effects and the use of projection mapping. So, because that's something that's obviously very popular as well now. Although, I mean, I'm a big fan of projection mapping, so I've got no problem with that. Electric Ocean. So I don't know if they're going to get Eddie Grant to record his hit from 1987 or not. If I were them, I'd have a word. So, sales. I mean, they've also announced a few things from their other parts, because I mean, you know, whenever we talk SeaWorld, we think about Orlando, but there's also San Diego, and is it Texas?
Yep, San Antonio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a new jet ski attraction that they're opening, and if you've seen the Tron coaster, it looks similar to that, but with jet skis. So the vehicles you sit on are jet skis, or look like jet skis. So that could be quite fun, but it's a shame it's only going there and not going to the other parts as well. They're also updating Aquatica.
What's that again?
It's getting a bird aviary.
Right.
It looked like it is anyway. I like that when at Discovery Cove. I like the lazy river and the bird aviary there. That was quite fun. You could feed the birds. That was quite nice. And I think as well they're talking about having a special lounge. I think it might be like a pass holders lounge or something. They're building there as well. I was reading. There's a few news stories about, so not everything's in just like the one article, unfortunately. But there is one interesting thing that they've announced, and I've got no idea whether other theme parks will take suit. But there's a new annual pass that they're offering. Okay, so an annual pass normally for SeaWorld is $168. Which I think really is pretty reasonable. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously a lot smaller than Disney and everything like that, but I mean, that's not bad for like a year. That's what $12 or so a month, $13 a month, thereabouts.
Yeah.
That isn't particularly hard. So you can buy an annual pass, but you can then buy a second pass at the same time for $208. Now I know that sounds ridiculous, because why would you pay more for a second pass when you're paying $168 for the first pass? But it's because it's called a host pass. So what happens is, Mr. D, you buy an annual pass, and then you decide you're going to buy this other pass as well, the host, like the transferable pass. Now I don't think they've got a name for it yet. And so what happens is, you're going next Tuesday, and you go, "Oh, Paul, do you fancy coming to SeaWorld with me?" And he goes, "Yes." He goes into the park. But you want to go back on Thursday. Paul can't make it. You want to take Mrs. Dolan. You can with the same pass. As long as you go, you can use a second pass for anyone else.
So you're paying for the flexibility.
You're paying for flexibility. So you're not stuck with it just being able to be used by one person. Hence the slightly higher cost for the second pass.
Yeah.
But I think that's quite an interesting idea.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Because, if you want to take, some friends with you, or if you've got like a niece or nephew that, you're looking after for the weekend and you want to take them, then you'd be able to without having to fork out for an expensive day pass or something. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good. The caveat, of course, is being that, the host pass has to be used for the other pass to work. So that's the only thing there. But yeah, so yeah, they're trying to turn their fortunes around. Be interested to see what happens. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, was there anything else that anyone wanted to talk about on this show?
Not
No.
yet.
No? Okay. Well, in that case, I suppose we should call this episode of Universal After Dark to a close because, well, we're going to shortly be talking about why P-Dubs is going to be falling asleep any minute for being so knackered. So if you want to hear why, what could have possibly happened since the last show, then join us over on the Dis After Dark feed where we're going right now. So see you later.
Ta-da!
See you soon.
This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.